So once again, welcome guys. Today we are going to start chapter number 6, conflict with Mughals. So far, Shivaji Maharaj had successfully fought the Adil Shahi. Now Shivaji Maharaj had successfully fought the Adil Shahi, but for expanding the Swaraj, conflict with the Mughals was inevitable. Inevitable means it had to take place anyway. The Mughals posed a great threat to Swaraj even as it began to expand. So Mughals were basically was a great threat to Swaraj. Maharaj triumphed over this threat too. He resigned. He regained his fort and territories from the Mughals. Now he regained territories from Mughal. He got himself crowned. He took a campaign of south. We shall learn about these events in this chapter. Now we are going to learn about how Shivaji Maharaj actually they fought against Mughals and how the conflict took place. Now Shahid Khan invasion. So Shahid Khan was basically a Mughal, and now in this paragraph we are going to talk about his invasion, how he invaded the territory of Shivaji Maharaj in February 1660. So the event took place in 1660. Shahid Khan left from Ahmednagar and entered the Pune province. Now, Pune province was under Shivaji Maharaj. He ravaged the territory of Swaraj by sending small units of his army to the neighboring areas. Now, how he managed that? He ravaged the territory of Swaraj by sending small units of his army to neighboring areas. He encamped at Chakan. So he made his camp at Chakan. Chakan is a place near Pune district. Firangoji Narsala, the Kiledar of the fort of Chakan, offered a strong resistance to Shahid Khan's army. Now, finally, the Mughals captured the fort Chakan. Now, finally, Mughal had captured the fort of Chakan. Shahid Khan set up his camp at Lal Mahal in Pune, where Shivaji Maharaj had lived in his childhood. So this is very crucial information. Shivaji Maharaj, in his childhood, he lived at this Lal Mahal. So we are going to see Lal Mahal now. So as you can see here, uh, here this is the Lal Mahal. So as you can see, this is the Lal Mahal where he stayed. Basically, Shivaji Maharaj childhood was in this Lal Mahal. So Khan sent his forces in regions around Pune. These forces looted the people. 2 years passed, but he would not think of leaving Pune. Now, 2 years passed after Shahid Khan invaded. Naturally, this had an adverse effect on the people's morale. So, in these circumstances, Maharaj drew up a bold plan. So, as you can see now, Maharaj is planning to step up and campaign or attack against Shahid Khan. Shivaji Maharaj decided to raid Lal Mahal, now secretly under his own leadership. On 5th April 1963, Maharaj raided Lal Mahal at night with a select band of soldiers. In this raid, Shahid Khan lost his fingers. Now, this is a very important information. He suffered humiliation. Right, he left Pune and shifted his camp to Aurangabad. Now, he shifted his camp to Aurangabad. Due to this episode, he incurred the displeasure of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb transferred him to the province. So now Aurangzeb was in the center, Delhi basically. So he transferred him to the province, right, of Bengal. Aurangzeb was not happy about Shahid Khan's invasion because he had lost the Lal Mahal and prominent place in Pune. So he sent Shahid Khan to Bengal. This successful attack on Shahid Khan had an impact on the people and their faith in the capability of Maharaj and strengthened even further. So, in this way, the Shivaji Maharaj had defeated Shahid Khan and uh, It had an impact on the people and their faith in the capability of Maharaj. Right, now there is an activity here. Can you tell, if you want to visit the city of Surat, what route will you take? Show it with the help of map. Visualize how Shivaji Maharaj must have reached Surat. So we can easily find that uh, from the map. So as you can see, this is the Surat. I will show you. So as you can see here, so this is Surat basically. This is Pune, and Pune to Surat via Nashik. You can just go via Nashik also, or via Mumbai also. You can go to Surat, or from Dhule or Aurangabad to Surat. So this is the route of Surat. Now the Surat campaign. Now this is the paragraph about Surat campaign. In 3 years' time, Shastri Khan had ravaged large territories of Swaraj. It was necessary to make good this loss. For this, Shivaji Maharaj devised a plan for teaching the Mughals a lesson. So now Shivaji Maharaj decided to teach Mughals a lesson. Surat was a big trade center. Now this is very important information. Surat, Surat is still a big trade center and a port under Mughal control. So now this is a very vital information. At that time also, it was a big trade center. The British, Dutch, French. So the British, the Dutch, and the French had factories there. So they had factories. Maximum revenue was being generated by this city for the emperor. So it was a rich city. Maharaj marched on Surat. Inayat Khan, the Subedar of Surat, could not put up any resistance. So this is again an Inayat Khan. He wasn't able to put a resistance against Shivaji Maharaj. Maharaj obtained plenty of wealth from Suraj without bothering common people. Now this is a very crucial information. Maharaj was basically aware about the welfare of the people, so he didn't bother any common people. His campaign of Surat was completely successful. This campaign was a stunning blow to Emperor Aurangzeb's prestige. So now this was a very blow to Aurangzeb's prestige. Jai Singh's invasion. With a view to curbing the increased activity of Shivaji Maharaj, Aurangzeb sent Mirza Raje Jai Singh, an experienced and powerful Rajput Sardar. Now, Aurangzeb was frightened by Maharaj's success, and that's why he sent Mirza Raje Jai Singh, an experienced, powerful Rajput Sardar. So basically, from the Rajasthan region, Rajput Sardar. So this is Rajasthan. So Aurangzeb sent a Rajput Sardar to the uh, Deccan region. Jai Singh came to Pune. Now, Jai Singh came to Pune. He started rallying all forces against Shivaji Maharaj. To the Portuguese of Goa, Vasai, the Dutch of Vengurla, the British of Surat, and the Siddhis of Janjira, Jai Singh suggested that they should start a naval campaign against Maharaj. So basically, Jai Singh planned against Shivaji Maharaj. Jai Singh drew up a plan of capturing fort in possession of Shivaji Maharaj. Now, this is how we can understand there was a lot of conflict against Mughals, and Shivaji Maharaj was the basic resistance against the Mughals at that time in 1600 1700th century. Uh, Shivaji Maharaj in the Deccan was a main resistance against Mughals. So Mughals forces were sent to various parts of Swaraj. Now, Mughal forces were sent to various parts of Swaraj. They ravaged territories of Swaraj. Maharaj endeavored to resist the Mughals. Jai Singh and Diler Khan laid a siege to the fort of Purandar. So, Now you can see Jai Singh and Diler Khan laid a siege to the fort of Purandar. So now we are going to see where is Purandar fort. As you can see here, this is a Purandar fort. As you can see, these are the images of Purandar fort, and this is the location of Purandar fort. So Purandar Fort is basically near Pune district. Pune district, as you can see here, near Pune district, Purandar Fort. We will see some more information on Purandar Fort. So as you can see here, this is the Purandar Fort. So this is the way for Purandar Fort. So it is a very good tourist place. Basically, this is a gate. So as you can see here, near Pune, there is a Purandar Fort. Now, Jai Singh and Diler Khan laid siege to the fort of Purandar. When the Mughal put the fort of Purandar under siege, Murarbaji Deshpande fought with the greatest courage. Now, this is a important person. Murarbaji Deshpande fought with the greatest courage when Mughals put the fort of Purandar under siege. He died a hero's death. Now, Murarbaji Deshpande died a hero's death. Considering the seriousness of situation, Maharaj began talks for the treaty. Now, considering the seriousness about how Shivaji Maharaj lost a fort, he began talks treaty with Jai Singh. Now he began talking with Jai Singh about settlement. He met Jai Singh personally. A treaty between Jai Singh and Maharaj was signed in June 1665. It is known as the Treaty of Purandar. Now it was known as the Treaty of Purandar. In accordance with the terms of treaty, Maharaj gave the Mughals 23 of his forts and adjoining territories, yielding an annual revenue of 4 lakh horns. So this was the revenue at that time. He also assured the Mughals of help against the Adil Shah. The treaty was ratified by Aurangzeb. So treaty was ratified by Aurangzeb. Now there is activity. Find out how Shivaji Maharaj escaped from his house arrest at Agra. So how Shivaji Maharaj escaped from his house arrest at Agra. So let us find out now. So as you can see here, Shivaji Maharaj to escape from Agra, likely by bribing the guards through the emperor. Though the emperor was never able to ascertain how he escaped despite the investigation, popular legend says Shivaji smuggled himself and his sons out of his house in large baskets, claimed to be sweets to be gifted to religious figures in the city. So this is how a story goes about Shivaji Maharaj, how he smuggled himself and his son out of the house, right? So how Shivaji escaped his house arrest at Agra. Agra visit and escape. After the Treaty of Purandar, Jai Singh launched a campaign against the Adil Shahi. Maharaj helped Jai Singh, but this campaign of Jai Singh was not successful. Jai Singh and Aurangzeb felt that Shivaji Maharaj ought to be kept away, at least for some time, from the Deccan politics. Jai Singh proposed to Shivaji Maharaj that he should visit Agra and meet the emperor. Now, he guaranteed the safety of Shivaji Maharaj. Shivaji Maharaj set out for Agra. He was accompanied by Prince Sambhaji and a few of his trusted people, now who were ready to risk their lives for him. Shivaji Maharaj reached Agra. Aurangzeb did not treat him with a due honor at his court. Maharaj gave vent to his rage. The emperor then put him under house arrest. Undeterred by this action of Emperor, Maharaj devised a plan of escaping from his house arrest. He adroitly escaped from Agra and reached Maharashtra safely after a few days. He reached Raigarh. While returning from Agra, he left Sambhaji Raje at Mathura. Later, Prince Sambhaji was brought safely to Raigarh. While Maharaj was always away from Swaraj, Veer Mata Jijabai and the associates of Shivaji Maharaj looked after the administration of Swaraj on the offensive against the Mughals. Now, here the Shivaji Maharaj is trying to attack the Mughals. Immediately after return from Agra, Maharaj did not want any conflict with Mughals. However, he wanted to recapture the forts and territories given to the Mughals as per the Purandar Treaty. For this, he prepared a comprehensive and bold plan. It was his strategy to capture the forts by sending a well equipped army on the one hand and on the other to keep the Mughals unstable by invading the territories of the Deccan under their control. So, there was a two-way strategy. In the first, he was sending a well equipped army on the one hand and on the other to keep the Mughals unstable by invading territories of the Deccan under their control. Maharaj attacked the Mughal territories of Ahmednagar and Junnar. Then he recaptured several forts as a Siaghad, Purandar, Lohagad, Mahuli, Karnal, Rohida, one after the other. Now then Maharaj attacked Surat for the second time. While returning from Surat, he fought a great battle with Mughals at Bani Dindori in Nashik district. Maharaj defeated the Mughal Sardar Daud Khan in the great battle. After that, Moropant Pingale captured Trimbakgarh near Nashik. So, Moropant Pingale captured Trimbakgarh near Nashik. Thus, Shivaji Maharaj was successful in offensive that he had launched against the Mughals. Sardars such as Tanaji Malsare, Moropant Pingale, Prataprao Gujar, etc., made a valuable contribution in these offensive. Krishnaji Anand Shabasad, a contemporary chronicle, thus describes this campaign. He took as many as 27 forts in 4 months. So he took 27 forts in 4 months and earned a great reputation for himself. So this is what Shivaji Maharaj did. In just 4 months, 27 forts he captured. Maharaj ascended the throne of Swaraj. He now became Chhatrapati of the Swaraj. As a symbol of sovereignty, Rajyabhisheka, the coronation era was started. Maharaj became the founder of new era. Now Shivaji Maharaj became the founder of new era. On the occasion of coronation, special coins were minted. A gold coin called Horn, a copper coin called Shivrai, with the legend Sri Raja Shiv Chhatrapati inscribed on them. Thereafter, all royal correspondence. So, this is the image of Shivaji Maharaj. Now, coronation. The founding of the Maratha Swaraj involved a relentless struggle for over 30 years. For over 30 years. Maharaj realized that now it was necessary for the Swaraj to win general recognition as a sovereign independent state. Right? For this, a formal coronation was necessary. On 6 June 1674, he had himself coronated at Raigad by Gaga Bhatt, a learned Pandit. Now, this is very important. So, the coronation was done by Gaga Bhatt at Raigad. So, he was a Pandit. Carried the words Kshatriya Kulvantasha, Sri Raja Shiv Chhatrapati. A dictionary showing Sanskrit alternative for Persian words was prepared. It was known as Rajya Vyavhara Kosha. Shortly after this, on 24 September 1674, Shivaji Maharaj had his second coronation performed under the guidance of Nishchalpuri Gosavi. There were two traditions of religious ceremonies in India, Vedic, Tantric. Maharaj honored both tradition and had two coronation ceremonies performed. So this is Fort Raigad. So let us see where is Fort Raigad. So as you can see here, this is Raigad Fort near Pune. Now there is a activity. Which Indian king started a new calendar? So we are going to see which Indian king started a new calendar. So Vikramaditya, he started a new calendar, right? And who invented calendar in India? Purnimata. Tradition was being followed in the Vedic era, right? So Vikramaditya, who wanted to return to Vedic roots, so he basically started. So this is the answer. So as you can see here, Vikram Samvant is a Indian king started a new calendar. So Vikram Samvant is a Indian king. He started a new calendar, right? So Vikram Samvant is named after a legendary king Vikramaditya of Ujjain. So Vikram Samvant or Vikramaditya. So next activity. Do you know Prince Sambhaji Raje was 17 years old at the time of coronation of Shivaji Maharaj. He had described the coronation ceremony in the treatise Buddha Bhushanam. It is based on his own experience. Without measuring or counting, plenty of money, clothes, elephants, horses were donated to the great scholar who had come to attend the coronation ceremony from the different regions. The Shivaji Maharaj spread his fame in different directions. Now another activity, an extremely valuable and grand throne was made for the coronation of Shivaji Maharaj. These were eight beveled pillars on the eight sides of the throne. This throne, made of 32 man gold, had been studded with the precious jewel. Learn about the unit of man from your teacher. The coronation of Shivaji Maharaj was a revolutionary event in the history of medieval India. While explaining the importance of this event, Sabhasad, a contemporary chronicler, writes, it was no mean achievement for a Maratha king to become such a great Chhatrapati. So, it was not a small achievement, it was a great achievement. The Campaign of the South. 3 years after the coronation in October 1677, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj undertook a campaign of the South. He went to Golconda. Now, where is Golconda? So, as you can see here, this is Golconda. So this is Pune, this is Golconda. So it was very far away in the southern region. So currently in the basically in Telangana. As you can see, this is Maharashtra, this is Telangana. So currently in Telangana, Golconda Fort. There he called on Qutub Shah and he entered into treaty of friendship with him. Later Maharaj won Bengaluru, Hoskote in Karnataka, Jinji, Velar, etc. forts in today's Tamil Nadu and some other territories of Adil Shah. She appointed Raghunath Narayan Hanumante, the chief administrator, to look after these conquered territories. Venkoji, the half-brother of Shivaji Maharaj, was then ruling at Tanjore. Shivaji Maharaj tried to get him to participate in the activities of Swaraj. So let us see where this Tanjore is. So it's in Tamil Nadu, right? As you can see here, this is Tamil Nadu state. So there is this Tanjore region. Shivaji Maharaj tried to get him to participate in the activities of Swaraj, right? After to whom? Venkoji, right? After Venkoji Raje, the rulers of Tanjore encouraged art and learning. The Saraswati Mahal, Liberty, there is a world famous. In this campaign of South, Maharaj had annexed the fort of Jinji in Tamil Nadu to his Swaraj. This proved to be a great importance in later years. When Mughals emperor stayed put in the Maharashtra to destroy Swaraj, then Chhatrapati Rajaram Maharaj had to leave Maharashtra for reasons of safety. At that time, he took shelter in these southern forts of Jinji and ran the administration of Swaraj from there. Soon after the victorious campaign of the south, Shivaji Maharaj passed away on Raigad on 3rd April 1680. So this is how Shivaji Maharaj passed away on the fort of Raigad on 3rd April 1680. His death at the age of 50 was a great loss for a Swaraj. A great era came to an end. So this is the Samadhi of Shivaji Maharaj at Raigad, as you can see here at Raigad. So these are some questions. Very important activity here. How do you prepare for a special program on Independence Day, Republic Day? Make a list with the help of your teacher. Visit a historic place in your neighborhood and write a report on your visit. So you can do that. Now we will see in the next chapter the administration of Swaraj. How was the administration at the time of Shivaji Maharaj? Thank you for listening.